Sister Evelyn,
Yes.
tell me, what are the things that you are thinking about this Advent?
Well, I always think of Advent as a time of waiting. And I began a new volunteer work this Advent. And it has formed my thinking around the whole period of Advent in terms of waiting. The volunteer work that I'm doing is I'm working with asylum seekers, a program that's set up by the Sisters of St. Joseph. It meets in Brentwood, and we have been major funders in the program through our Wisdom Grant program. So people are invited, people who want to apply for asylum in the United States are invited to come and get assistance from us. It's a very complicated process. It's a very complicated application. So a number of people have been trained to assist asylum seekers in filling out their application. And that's what I've been doing during the whole of it. I started the end of November, and we'll continue to do that. So the family, as I worked with the family during the month of November and December, I became aware of a new kind of waiting. These people are waiting for admittance to the United States because they come from countries where they've been harassed, where they've been tortured, and for them, they've tried everything, and it's their only way of seeking some kind of freedom and happiness and comfortability. So I've been with a team. We're working with a family of 3 from Honduras, and they built in Honduras a very successful taxi business until the gangs found out. And then they began to be extorted. And they tried everything. I mean, the amount of money that the gangs are requesting and are demanding is unbelievable. And the only way that they can stay alive is to pay each week the amount of money that the gangs want. So at one point they just said, that's it, we're gonna try getting to the United States. So the wife of the family does have a brother living in Hempstead. You know, they've had family members killed, they have had friends murdered, you know, and they have 2 children. One of them is with them. She's 7 years old, an adorable little girl. So they came the end of October to the United States, and they were referred to the immigration clinic, which is where I'm volunteering, and we've been working with them. Last night we completed the application. They have a court appearance in January. It's all up to the judge. Hopefully because we have to put an affidavit connected with the application. Hopefully we were able to build the case, because sometimes with immigration it says, well, just go back, live in a different place. They tried all those things,
What are some of the things you need to put together to build a case?
Well, we need what happened to them. They were, that car was stolen. When it was recovered, it was full of drug paraphernalia. So, drug vendors used it in the process, and then to prove that that's not theirs, Mm-hmm. So there was a whole lot of stuff that we had to plow through, and then pick out what's really going to help their case, So at least they're meeting. When they meet us, they meet with caring people. And I have to say that last night when we completed the process, when we said goodbye to them, they felt good. And
what would make it more likely for them to be processed in a positive way, do they need to be set up with work? Do they need to have a place to go? What are some of the things that will ensure their success?
Well, they
here?
have a support system in her brother. So they're living with her brother right now. He is able to work, and he works in an Indian restaurant in Long Beach. She doesn't know any English, so we're trying to get her referred to, at least she can know some basic English, you know. And I think if that works, so I made some referrals. They haven't had any health care since they left Honduras.
Did they share with you at all anything about what their journey was like just getting to the border?
Oh yeah.
Could you share that?
All the horrors.
Horrors such as, was it on foot? Was it in cargo? Was it?
No, they used some public transportation, you know. They must have had some funds to work out with, and they used, and there were support systems on the way. Like when they got to one city, they must have had a friend, and the friend referred them to a pastor, who referred them to a shelter. So there are shelters along the way that they were able to, you know, to stay in, but always negotiating and always looking over their shoulder. You know, he talked about one time when he hid in a field and had to bury himself in the grass because he knew that the gangs were there, you know. So and I have come to find out that the gangs they're international, and they refer, you know. So if he went back, there's no way they would survive.
What did the child articulate anything at all?
No, we didn't. We don't deal with the children.
You don't deal with the children.
No.
Are they taken care of once they come here in terms of education?
Yes, she's going to school, and they showed me one of her spelling papers, which was terrible, but her math was fine, because the language of numbers is different than the language of words, you know.
Words, yeah.
So, but she does, in the school system, she does stay after school for 2 hours every day to get extra help.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah, so.
What?
And I was able to refer them to health care, because I'm on the board for the Federally Qualified Health Center, which has recently changed its name to Harmony Healthcare. She went there last week and was totally taken care of. She got all, you know, her mammogram, her GHI and everything, you know. So there are venues here, but we need to find out what they are to refer them. Right now, the biggest need they have is clothing. You know, the little girl, she's getting laughed at school because she wears the same thing every day, you know. So we're trying to find some ways to get her some different clothing, you know.
Yeah.
And next week we're having a big holiday party, and we've had adopt a family. So each family will get, you know, hopefully what they need, you know. They told me last night they need blankets, you know, so I'm going through the closet upstairs, and next week I'll bring maybe a few blankets.
Well, I imagine when you come, nothing but the clothes on your back and what little you have in your pocket to negotiate, you need everything. Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like you're missing much of a beat with resources. It's just getting them connected, I suppose.
Exactly.
To those resources.
Yeah, and resources that they can trust, because they're so used to looking over their shoulder, you know.
So tell me, what was that waiting like for you to see it to this point?
Okay, so I thought about this waiting, and I've waited a lot of places. I mean, I go to the doctor and I wait. You know, I'm waiting for an order to come. Never, never have I been in fear of my life. Never have I been hungry. Never have I been afraid that someone was going to hurt me. But those are the things that they live with.
Do you think they're feeling much of that fear still?
If they have to go back, yes.
Yeah.
if they have to go back. And hopefully the courts, you know,
We'll look in their favor.
yeah. And the way that this immigration clinic is set up, it's wonderful because we have volunteer attorneys that work with us, that look over our applications and advise us what we should point out and what we should leave out, you know, and that type of thing. And it's wonderful to see people come out and volunteer. I'm on a team with 2 young people. One of them is probably, he's got his bachelor's in international human services, and he hasn't been able to find a job, so he's building his resume, but he's a wonderful resource. And then another volunteer that I work with, she's a young girl who's in Suffolk Community College. She's in social work, you know, and they're wonderful assets, you know.
And what a wonderful way to get your feet wet.
Exactly.
Especially in those 2 fields.
Yeah, but to see them so caring and reaching out, you know, to these people who are hurting.
Well, I would have to say I think there's great promise in our youth.
Oh yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for sharing your Advent journey with
My
us.
pleasure. My pleasure.